Well, hello and welcome, viewers from around the world, for the OCR World Championship Team Race here from Stratton in Vermont. I'm David Magida, joined by a very special guest, Alex Walker, to lead you through today's events. Alex, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to watch this today.
So am I. Alex and I were actually teammates at the Spartan World Championship Team Race in Abu Dhabi, which was one of the more fun events, I would say, of my entire career.
Yeah, that was a blast.
So, Jason, if you don't mind throwing up the map for us, let's walk our viewers through what we're going to be looking at today, what these athletes are going through. Essentially, 3 legs of racing, each athlete getting a different section of this course. And Alex, why don't you take our viewers through what this is going to look like?
So I'm not really sure what the first. So you have the speed section, right? And the obstacles and then the weighted carries.
Yes, I believe that's correct. And so there are essentially a number of different ways that you could game this thing out. But the objective here, if you're one of the racing teams, is find who's got the most talent in what positions, whether they're good at the heavy carries or whether they're kind of your speed people or whether they're great at obstacles and climbing, and spread them out in the right way. It's going to be a little bit strategic. Obviously, we have an all men's, we have all women, we have mixed relays or co-ed relays as well. So there will be 3 different championship teams crowned today. But essentially, you're looking at the 15K course split up.
Yeah, this is like one of my
And
favorite events of everything that OCR World Championship does. It's just like brings everybody together and it's just so much fun.
now, Alex, have you raced on this course before?
They did the North American Championship there a few years back, and I have gone, and I love Vermont. That is like one of the coolest courses I've been on.
So tell us a little bit about what it feels like to run on this mountain in terms of like the terrain and the footing, how steep it is, descending on it.
Yeah, if you like super hard, fast descents, because it's technical, but not too technical, so you can go pretty fast on it. So it just gets really wild during the team races because everybody's going so fast, and you're not really having to worry too much about the rest of the course. You just have to do your section, and I don't know, it just gets a little fun for it.
What's I think interesting is we just watched the 3K race the other day. The 3K is so intense, your heart rate is through the roof. Everybody is running at essentially maximal effort for the entire time. And now what you're getting is essentially 3 of those back to back to back. Maybe call them a 5K, but we are going to have these short, sprinty efforts, and each person's going to basically be turning themselves inside out, no longer just for themselves and for a shot at a world title, but because they have other people counting on them. I think it brings so much extra extrinsic motivation to the picture, and I think you find people really take things to another level when they're running in those team events.
Yes, and definitely mistakes are made, so it just changes things up because you can be leading 1 second and can quickly make a mistake because you're in such a hurry.
Absolutely. Now, of the teams that we have out here today, the thing that's been hard for me to tell is uh, who exactly are the favorites, because what I was provided was a list of teams, however, not a list of who was on said teams. Have you
Yeah,
heard
and I
any
think they do
intel
it
as
where you
to?
have to be like all Americans are on one team, so each nationality has a team. You can't mix it up.
Yeah, that would make sense. Although I do see a best of Germany and Austria listed at the top of our men's, so I'm not sure the exact split and what's required there. Have you heard any of the teams out here that look like they're kind of stacked and loaded and ready to win this thing?
I have not heard, and I've been like paying attention and seeing what's going on, but it also changes because some people wake up the day of the race and are like, I can't do this. So I guess we're just gonna be surprised and find out who's out there.
Or vice versa, they might wake up and say, you know what, I do have legs today. Like I think we saw that with Ian Hosek after the Spartan World Championships, where he said there was not a chance he was running the team race, and then the next day right back up on the start line. And that's just a very common thing. The energy of a venue like this and an event like this, and the opportunity to get one more in at this world championship level is just, I think, too much for people to, bypass.
That's so true.
So if you were racing today, which of these legs would you be interested in doing?
I would want to do the heavy carries or the obstacle leg.
Yeah, you are very good at those.
What would you do?
I think it would make the most sense to put me on whichever section has the flattest ground running. It's hard for me to carry all this weight up a big mountain these days. But yeah, that or the heavy carries. I think when we were in Abu Dhabi, I did 2 heavy carries on
You
my
had the
leg. I really enjoyed
fastest
that. So
carries, yeah.
yeah, so that was fun for me. That's VJ Jones right there. So you can obviously expect him to be one of the lead contenders. And Jesse DeHeer was in the orange just beside him. So I believe he's from France. So you have some talent on this opening leg. Also see Jesse Bruce off to the side. So he'll be with Team Canada, one of the Canadian teams at least. And there's JTM. JTM talks in the suit, not racing, just hamming. And the rest of the field, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a surprise for us. And what's cool about these team events is that you'll see some faces that you don't really know, and some relative unknowns may end up on a podium. Which, what an opportunity!
Yeah, look at all these people. That's so exciting.
And so you're looking at we had listed about 16 or 18 men's teams, although it doesn't look like we may have about that number right now.
So are they doing men's first and then women's and then co-ed?
Yes, although I don't believe that the time gaps between them will be significant off the start. So we should expect, and the women's race definitely only has one heat because we only have, as far as my list goes, 7 or 8 teams. Looks like 7 teams registered, although that number may have changed. The co-ed, we have probably about 15 teams.
Everybody has a time machine on a Velcro wristband, right? Your time machine is not on a Velcro wristband.
And so some of the teams listed, this is what I have on my men's rostered teams for today's men's race. Best of Germany and Austria, Empowered OCR Dads, the Flatliners. Flatliners again with Ryan, Danny, and Nick. I don't know if that's 2 teams. Get a Grip, HY Phoenix, Le Brute Sanguinaris, Maple Syrup Sweat, Mud, Sweat, and Tears, New Blast OCR, Team ESP Elite, I'm assuming Spain, Team Hang On, the Netherlands, Men Pro, Men PR Elite, the Better TEF Team, the New Woodrunners, US OCR Midwest, and Warex Pro Team. So that is the roster of pre-registered teams. Now, if anyone signed up this morning, we may not have them on the list, but you can see Team Spain right there, ESP, off to the left in the red and yellow. And then I believe that was Colombian colors to the right.
Ooh. There's very similar flags down there, so you never know. I wonder who's on VJ's team.
That's a good question. VJ has so many people to choose from. Obviously, it won't be a Ryan Atkins, but it could be a Tyler Veerman who lives in Colorado Springs near him. It could be
Rylan.
You might see a Rylan Shadeg. You could see a Ryan Kempson. That would be an interesting 1-2 punch with the 2 of them who finished first and second in the 3K.
Yeah. That would be neat. That would be neat if it's VJ and then like Rylan or Tyler on the carries and then Ryan Kempson on the obstacles. That's going to be a fast team if it is.
And it's an interesting strategy leading with your 3K champion instead of closing with him. I think the idea here is they're trying to get an insurmountable lead early. And
Yeah.
that is a huge advantage getting to lead off with VJ Jones. I think they're the heavy, heavy favorites.
Definitely. And very smart to get out fast and like build that gap.
Oh,
Now, we noticed in the 3K itself that often the person who led the first 1,000 meters or mile of the race did not win the race. However, in VJ's case, he is the kind of guy who can run from the front. He can run from behind. He has so much talent.
And of course, a round of applause for our video and media crew. OCR Reports, Obstacle Racing Media, Adventuring, and of course my man Theo Well from the camera right there in front of us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final part of the weekend. Over 5,000 athletes, 70 nations standing behind me. BJ Jones is joining me because he's just ready to win the darn thing, but we're not about to let that happen, are we, fellas? We're not to let BJ win it all.
woo!
It's about to go down, ladies and gentlemen. Set your Fitbits, set your garments, set your shoppers. This race is about to begin. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go!
All right, the men's field is off, and expect VJ Jones to make a hard move to the front early. Jesse DeHeur is going to do his best to try and stay on him for the French team, of course. And so looking at this race, Alex, this opening segment is going to hit a couple walls, a little bit of crawling, but it's really that big climb that shakes things up.
Yeah, definitely. And then after racing, the last 2 days, it's interesting to see, who has legs right now to run up that.
It's such a huge factor that most people don't think about, the ability not just to put out that effort, but to bounce back the next day. And of course, as we've gotten older, it's gotten harder and harder to do that. But some of these athletes are so well conditioned that they have maintained great legs through the late part of the weekend. One advantage VJ Jones has is he did not run the 15K yesterday.
Yeah, that definitely is going to help him out. I think he's up there in the lead. He's already forming a gap on everybody. And then there's a pack right behind there.
And that's to her all the way back in the orange there in the second chase group. So you have a VJ Jones in the lead, a chase group right behind him, and then a second chase group.
I think the other fun part about this race is like watching everybody run around and like get to the different obstacles to watch everybody. It's just exciting for me.
A lot of fans out there on the course today. And again, if you have not been to the OCR World Championships, this is a very special event to attend. The energy, the passion that athletes have for the sport, but also because it is really an independent race that is the aggregation of all of these different race companies coming together and competing and contributing in order to put on this event together. As we're here at the slant wall, the fourth obstacle of 24. So a half a kilometer already. And this is a mild incline right here, Alex. Like, in terms of hiking versus running, this is definitely one of those more runnable sections of the course.
Yes. And it's like when they have slight inclines, I mean, at least I believe it's a little bit harder on your body because you can run fast too.
So it does. I think, yeah, you're spot on. The damage that it causes, because you're putting out a little bit of tempo. You're running. You're not having to hike. That hike gives you the ability to recover a little bit, but you're just getting crushed if you're running with tempo uphill. Such a power effort.
got that one athlete right there, power hiking. I don't
And I
blame
believe that's
him.
our cameraman. You can hear breathing so hard. That tells you how hard they're working.
I've been having FOMO all weekend watching the live feed until I heard him breathing.
And so the elevation profile of this race is essentially 3 large climbs. So the opening racer is going to put down one huge climb and descent. The second racer, I believe, does about the same. And the third racer has the smallest climb and may even get the handoff partway through it based on the map. It looks like it's at the base of the third climb, which is significantly smaller, although fairly steep.
But they have the most obstacles, too.
There you go, obstacle density. That section in the middle has minimal obstacles. It really is. I mean, you're looking at that first transfer point, T1. You're looking at Pendulum, Stairway 3.0, the Force 5 rig, Lagaff, and Valkyrie. That's it. So this opening leg, they've been through the slant wall. They have a Tyrolean Traverse. They have Gibbons, and they have the Force 5 over-under. So really this one's just about kind of hammering that opening run. That the second segment is going to be a bit more about some of the obstacles being a little more time-consuming. But at the same time, it has that really steep second climb. And the third section is get to the top of that climb and then bomb it and just hit obstacles all along the way. A really huge gauntlet to the finish. Now, it is worth noting that obstacles 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 are only in the team race, as far as I can tell. Or they're a team grouping of obstacles. Triumph, Littlefoot, Urban Sky, Ricochet, Cargo Climb. So they're listed under this. There's a speed category, technical category, a strength category, and then beside that, team category of obstacles.
Now that's fun that they have to do it together. That's a good, fun finish.
So that adds a really nice wrinkle to things. You're only as strong as your weakest link, of course, but now you'll have to work together a little bit. And so as they're ascending up right now, we can expect to see, if we can get eyes on it, a Tyrolean Traverse fairly soon, which is a rope traverse, of course. Followed by Gibbons and the Force 5 over-under coming up. Over-under, I think, is fairly self-explanatory. Tyrolean Traverse as well. But Alex, have you encountered this Gibbons obstacle before?
Yes. I did it the first year they had it. And that was an interesting for us because we chicken winged it, because at the time none of us were, the women at least, were strong enough to handle using the pegs. But now, years later, people are so strong. I was watching the ladies the other day and they just swung through it, no problem. So it's interesting to see how they brought in new obstacles and we've learned to do them better throughout the years.
And that's the evolution of the sport. What was good enough to make you a champion in 2016 doesn't get it done anymore.
Yeah.
As you're taking a look at the end of the Tyrolean Traverse.
And that's uphill too.
I mean, having that at the top of this climb is a really brutal way to get into it. But for some, maybe it's just a breather, an opportunity to compose yourself slightly. I know the Tyrolean isn't exactly a rest. And these teams were blazing so fast, they dropped our cameraman. Jason, if you jump to the preview screen, for a moment it looked like we were actually getting a little bit of downhill. Is this the
Looks
famous
like they're at
Gibbons?
Gibbons.
It says Force 5, but this is Gibbons. Yep. And then note that they have to take those pegs and return them once they finish swinging through. So essentially you have to lock that peg into position, swing through as if it's a ring, and then make that transition. So there's an upward punch through the handle in order to get out, to remove the peg to move to the next one.
Yeah, it's very similar to like a floating monkey bar.
Here's your Force 5 over under. Not to be confused with the Spartan over under through.
Nice shot, VJ.
There's VJ running down the hill.
Your race leader. Look how sloppy that terrain has gotten. He's moving well, but that is real messy, and that's going to be a lot of the course today. And it's a sizable lead back to your second racer, who we can see in our preview screen possibly right now. I see someone coming down. Oh.
He's moving pretty quick too.
But you'd have to say, and there are a couple athletes just in front of him. I would say that the gap to VJ is already looking like it's at least 40 seconds. Significant.
Yeah,
And we're
VJ
only 10
definitely
minutes
put a
into this
gap on
race.
everybody.
There's Jesse DeHeer. Or DeHeer. Does that look like our friend Leon?
I thought it was for a second.
Kofed? It looks like Leon Kofed.
He is such an obstacle.
And we're seeing some
proficient
transitions happening right now. The French team has just transitioned. The Americans obviously just ahead. And what's cool about it is athletes are kind of fading when they get through the end of their leg, and then immediately there's this burst of energy as you have this new racer join the field. So that was Leon starting the first section of the second grouping. And is that Ryan Kempson right there? No.
No.
Not Ryan Kempson. Definitely not Ryan Kempson. No, it's just a variety of grips in this obstacle. When you're having to go from those hanging tees to the ring, to the wheel, to those hanging steps again.
You know,
Some
you're
difficult
opening and
transitions
closing in
if you're
so
new
many
to it.
different ways on that obstacle that it can be taxing if you don't get it on that first try.
Yeah. Jesse Bruce here, though.
And
What a
he's
pro.
so good on the team races. He's always been someone I love watching the last couple of years.
He has no significant weaknesses in his game. He also really built his endurance engine up with all that Ironman training he's done this past year.
Did you see that guy just jump to the middle of that obstacle? That was awesome.
Saved a lot of time there doing that little Lachey move.
Those are the kind of
And you
moves
have a
to
really
make in
nice battle.
these races.
You know, when you have these tight battles between second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, it's still really a cluster. And you're being chased by a guy like Jesse Bruce who's sitting back in maybe fifth position. Yeah, you have to take those risks And I think being that they're just starting their leg, they're not all gassed out, they're not wiped out, their grip isn't blown. Being able to take these obstacles on fresh is a totally different, opportunity to really raise your aggression level going into them.
The other thing good about the team race is, after the weekend, you get to play on different obstacles. You get like a second or a third chance, and that's what I like about the team race. You get to try things a little bit different and be a little bit more aggressive because you're used to the obstacle from the 2 days before.
It's definitely no longer the same level of surprise that you had. When you come along in one of these races and you're encountering one of these obstacles for the first time ever, you're at a dead run, you've been moving for a while, and you're locked in a kind of a battle with some other people, it can be a little jarring. Like you're panicked and frantically trying to figure out, like, how do I do this obstacle? And once
you
you've
can
knocked it
usually
out
tell
once or
people
twice,
will have a little wailing with their legs.
mm-hmm.
This way?
But once you've figured one out, once you've tackled it a couple times, these athletes are so good at this point that it only takes 1 or 2 tries, and you're like, okay, I've got this.
And now that you have obstacle gyms pretty much in most big cities, you have the opportunity to go try things when you think about 5-6 years ago, you didn't have that.
What was the only means for us to train for this 10 years ago, 8 years ago, was go to a bouldering gym, do some rock climbing, do some bouldering, just work on your grip, and then, try and work on some transitions. But now there's obstacle gyms and ninja gyms all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, after I did Gibbons a couple years ago, I went and bought Gibbons, and I have it hanging, and I can put it on a playground, whatever I want to do, just to work on it because I wanted to get better at it.
Wow. For those of you at home, that is the secret. Own
That's
everything.
true.
All right, we're just trying to get our bearings here, figure out where are these racers right now. And judging by these crowds, this is where they're going to be headed next. Although this looks like it may be a transfer point based on the number of athletes with their shirts off.
Yeah, over in the corner.
If you jump to camera 2 for a second, Jason, yep, there you go. Sometimes our footage gets a little fuzzy, but we do have a little battle going on there.
About 2 or 3 guys just power hiking right now. Pretty close to each other.
For a moment, I thought that was Ryan Atkins.
The time stops when your third teammate crosses the finish line. Our timer down there, Al, is watching everything. Please make his life easy. Cross with your teammates, you'll get a better picture, look cool, and you'll be less angry with me. Cool? All right.
And look, you see
There's
Rylan
Rylan.
Shadag right there. There's Ryan Atkins, along with VJ Jones. Shadag with that heartbreaker yesterday. For those who don't know, he crossed the finish line in second position and was later issued a disqualification for using liquid chalk, which, honest mistake, he did not know that was a rule. He owned it, he acknowledged it, said he should have done a better job reading the rule book. And I'll be the first to say I don't necessarily agree with the rule, but the rule is the rule, and we accept the ruling. He accepted the ruling, and just a really tough break for a guy who's got a very bright future in the sport.
He's having such an incredible year. It's been fun to watch him just grow every race.
Oh, I mean, he is turning into an absolute force out there. And, you know, I think the thing that was hard for a lot of people was to see his integrity questioned yesterday, which it really can't be if you know the guy. And it was one of those things that it could have happened to anyone. Of course, it happened to someone who was new to this event, new to this sport. But I expect to see him as an OCR world champion at some point in the near future.
Absolutely.
As it is, he is your Spartan North American champion. He is your DECA Fit world record holder. So the guy can just really do it all. Not to be outdone, Ryan Atkins, who got second in the 3K. Third in the 3K. Also took second in the 15K yesterday. And he will be running this final leg as well. So he and Shadeg will both be competing here.
Cool.
Now, what I did not see is who is teammates with VJ Jones. I'm assuming Shadeg is their final leg on his team. Now, is it Ryan Kempson or is there someone else, a Tyler Veerman perhaps?
Well, that's a good question because we didn't see who started it.
Look how sloppy that is. You like running in that stuff?
Yeah, actually I do sometimes. But they're like, I've watched him a couple times. It went up to his knee a few times and I'm like, oh, and you didn't even see it. So that's a lot of energy.
It's a great equalizer. It takes the speed out of the legs of some of the really, really swift athletes. I used to always say I enjoyed a sloppy course because it leveled the playing field a little bit. But there are some athletes who run so much better in that than others, like a Josiah Middow. I remember seeing him run through the swamps in Florida and just being blown away by his ability to maintain speed in that. Ryan Atkins, I think that's one of his great gifts, is whatever the terrain is, he just seems to fly on it.
Floats through it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you get for someone spending, 3 to 5 hours a day running and hiking through mountains and woods and forests and whatever else he can get into. And this is a steep, steep climb right now. I believe this was the second climb. This is the one that we saw in the 3K. This is included in the 3K race. Which means at the top you'll have the Force 5 rig, Lagaff, and Valkyrie.
I believe that's Kempson right there.
If that's down? Kempson, he's descending into the end of his... Is that Leon Kofed?
No, he has a jacket
descending into the end of his leg. So we're waiting here at the bottom of this descent, and it is a long descent, but the athletes are approaching right now.
Oh, it is Leon.
Well, he made quick work of that, didn't he?
So smooth.
Nice job, man. You got it.
And Leon is tagging out. Now you have the French team as well. And this is Lagaff. On your screen right now, that is Rylan Shadeg. You cannot mistake that form. His ability to run uphill is up there with the best in the sport at this point, it's truly stunning.
Yeah, he has a
Comes
lot
from
of
that
power
mountain
on his
biking.
uphills.
A lot of power. It comes from that same thing that I think Ryan Atkins gets it from, which is the amount of time that they've spent mountain biking over the years. They're able to just generate so much wattage, so much force. It translates very well to uphill running. And not just to do it, but to do it efficiently, to not lose energy. Here we go. Look at that athlete just collapsing at the finish. I mean, that is team racing. Turning yourself inside out for just a short little stretch.
It's definitely what makes these races like super magical. I can remember every single team race I've done to the T just for that reason. There's Jesse Bruce.
Here you see Jesse Bruce.
I think, was he teamed up with Ryan maybe? Atkins?
Yes, definitely. That's on the Ryan Atkins team. And I saw team Germany, Austria there as well. That was a smooth transition, wasn't it?
Yeah. People are getting so good at obstacles. It's so neat.
And so as they start this next section, that was just the end of the opening section. Am I right?
I think this was
Yes, that was the second one because we had Force 5 rig, we had Lagaff and Valkyrie. So now we're on the strength section. Upcoming obstacles include Twist on Life, Descent, Skitch, the Hoist. Obstacle 17 is Canyon, the Firefighter Heavy Carry, and Drop Zone. And then, of course, athletes will have to reconvene for the team obstacles 20 through 24 at the end. So if you look at the map, one thing you'll notice is that the transfer zones, T1, T2, and T3 are all relatively close together to enable athletes to reconvene at T3 and complete these final 5 obstacles together. Really smooth transitions. Just everyone so good at the obstacles at this point.
And this is pretty fun because it is on a downhill, so that momentum helps you already when you're moving through it. One of the Puerto Rican athletes cheering his buddy on.
I know everyone would love to have the opportunity to see the Ryan Atkins versus Rylan Shadeg climb this big ascent. But I believe what we're going to do is get a shift over to some of the obstacles. My guess is we'll catch them around Skitch. Because Skitch, Hoist, Canyon, Firefighter, Heavy Carry, all very close to that T2 transition point. Obstacles 13 and 14, which are the Twist on Life and the Descent, those are a little further away, and unless we get a different camera on that, it's going to be very hard to get eyes on that.
Nice work, man. Looking good.
Oh, there's Tyler
There's Tyler
Veerman
right there.
Our 15K world champ. How cool is that?
You know, he really came out of nowhere, didn't he? I mean, not that we all didn't know how good he is, but he's been so quiet this year. He's been off the radar a little bit. He came out and popped one race in the Spartan North American Elite Series, and then back underground, just running mountain marathons and ultras and putting in the volume. I think getting ready for the Spartan Ultra Championships where he got second last year. But then that, of course, was canceled, and I expect to see him at World's Toughest Mudder as his A race is my guess now.
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of people are transitioning to World's Toughest Mudder since Tahoe canceled, especially when you put all those months of work in.
Yeah, I can tell you my training partner, Mark Gaudet, he will be racing the Decafit World Team Championship with me, but he will be running World's Toughest Mudder the week before first. So that is a tough go.
Rylan on sketch.
Here's Rylan Shadegg. So the hooks, you got to kind of shimmy along, and then you have this hook transfer. It's a short obstacle. I think what he was showing us right there is that fourth place is coming up, or that Rylan was in fourth place. As we're getting eyes on, I'm not sure if this is our leader. Here's Shadegg again through the rigs. So it's interesting strategy that they put him on the final leg. He's got great speed. I don't know if he's the fastest through the obstacles of everyone on their team. He's certainly getting better each day this weekend. He's very good at these heavy carries. One thing that I noticed is, as a firefighter, he is very good at running uphill with weight, not just uphill without it.
Yeah, he's moving through that carry really well.
I recognize the Puerto Rican team there.
They're so passionate. They're always fun to watch.
When I look at this obstacle, I always think to myself, wouldn't you love to see, is that Austin Azar?
I think it
It
is.
is. I think to myself, wouldn't you love to see this obstacle be 3 times longer?
Oh, I know. And the transition, because people don't realize, like, picking it up and having to move it around to hook it back on is actually pretty tough.
Absolutely.
If you don't have
what
really
I'd love
good
to see
lock
is
off
a
strength.
second pole entirely, where you'd have to go and transfer to the next pole over. Really difficult. Adrian, when you watch this later, that's what we're asking for. Make it harder. Tremendous power out of Rylan Shadegg. Such an obstacle-dense section. Wow. Little Lachey there to finish and back up to speed.
Yeah.
Also, caught a sighting of Sunto.
OCR's
That's
famous
Ryan.
puppy.
The famous Atkins-Webster pup. Sunto the Malamute.
He could have his own calendar, and I think a lot of people would buy it.
He could have his own. He definitely would have a successful Instagram handle.
That is true.
Ran 35 miles with mom and dad today.
Crossed the finish line with my mom, world champion.
Running. Good.
All right, we're doing our best to try to get eyes on the leaders right now. I believe this is Urban Sky we have eyes on. So we're in the bottom of that festival area. And then note that unlike the previous segments of the race and unlike the previous individual events, athletes are going to have to go through these ones together, I believe, all 3 team members.
Austin being super smooth.
You've got a tight battle here between the French team and the Canadian team.
Yeah,
That
this is definitely
certainly going to be
interesting.
close.
Nice. Especially with those obstacles at the end, if everybody has to go through them together, anything can happen when you're that close together.
That was a nice transition right there. And the Lachey, boom. Here you go. Got some teams moving through now.
But I must have
That
changed
doesn't
it
look
where you
like
could
they're
just
all
have
from the same
anybody.
country.
Yeah.
VJ, Leon, and Shadeg. Through Urban Sky like it's nothing, those 3. We lost our visual here for a moment, but we'll look to get it back.
I actually like that they're allowing them to mix it up between countries.
I don't know. My thought is the teams can get a little too stacked. I enjoy watching countries having to stay within your own country means you can't get quite as loaded. Like getting to add Leon to VJ's team is a little unfair because Leon's so good at certain obstacles. But, at least they're not taking the first, second, and third place finishers and putting them all on one team. But this is going to be the end right here. Your men's championship team for the OCR World Championships. Looks like it's going to be Rylan Shadeg, VJ Jones, and Leon Kofed as they're going to wrap up that A-frame cargo net together and bring this thing across the finish line. Another World Championship for VJ Jones. Little redemption for Rylan Shadeg as they come across the line in first. And if you don't know, Leon and VJ are very close. When Leon came to the United States last year, he stayed with VJ for about a month. And so the 2 of them are extremely close friends. And I think this team makes sense also from the standpoint of they're all really young. I mean, Rylan and VJ are basically the same age, 2 really young guys. emerging in the sport. And VJ's been here established, but I mean, they're both going to be here for the next 10 years.
It's definitely fun to see all the new blood coming in.
The French and the Canadians,
they're all right
going
there.
to battle here. That is Austin Azar. Really grew out that hair. It's going to be tight. Now it's a sprint. Still got obstacles left.
See, I think this obstacle is a
Ricochet.
little difficult as a team because the rings will be swinging around as your teammate had already gone through it.
Well, in some regards, you could take multiple lanes. Looks like they're spreading out.
The one time I had done the team race, they made us use the same lane. You had to go together through the same lane.
And that's what it looks like because Jesse just went and adjusted the
this is a fight.
rings so they weren't swinging as much. And now you have a really interesting race because the French team has caught up. And you have everyone on the cargo net at the same time. It looks like the French have made a big pass in the Canadians, and I don't think there's enough room for the Canadians to catch up.
No.
And that was a massive move over on Ricochet, as Jesse DeHere and the French have managed to steal second place today. Third, of course, having to cross the finish line all together. Austin Azar, Jesse Bruce. And your Canadian men's team.
That was a great finish.
Nice work.
Well, you got that battle you really wanted. That close, tight-knit race. Weren't sure who was going to end up coming out on top on that.
I definitely think Ricochet, if the women's and the co-ed team are all close, it's going to make some changes there too, since we just saw it right now with the men.
Germany and Austria.
And crossing the finish line next, that looks like Team Germany, Austria. Yep, OCR Team Germany. And you can always tell who had to run the entire third leg because they are the one being pushed across the finish line by their teammates. And now the fun part is we're going to line up. We're going to do this thing all over again, but this time with the women's race.
I think I have a list. Let me check for the women.
Our charity 5K taking place as well as the little after party. This waiting engine. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, the pro co-ed.
And it sounds like if we go to camera 2, the women's race. Nope. I'm not sure which race that is that just began. Maybe more of the men's races?
We got a lot of people on Ricochet, a lot of teams. Looks like 3 of them. Okay.
The co-ed
So we got
race
the
has
co-ed
started.
team.
Okay, I was curious.
I missed him.
So again, for our co-ed teams, here's what we're looking at. Team Hang On, the Netherlands Mixed Pro. Bullies Bitches, never thought I'd get to say that on air. Inner Stride, Is It Over Yet? Jack and Benny and question mark. That's going to be a fun team. I think we're looking at Jack Bauer and Benny Gifford there. Noob Sanity, Nor'easter OCR, Team Denmark, Innovate Garmin, Team France, Team Germany, Team Norway, Team Outlaw, Team Primal, Team Stream Sweden, and the team that shall not be named, followed by the Warriors. So this is a big field, and although we did just miss the start of it, I expect it's going to be a pretty fun one. Some teams, of course, in these co-ed ones, some teams are going to lead with their females and close with the men. Other teams are going to lead with 2 men, female at the finish, and some I think will do female in the middle. What do you think is the strategy here based on this layout? If you have 2 men and 1 female on the team, Alex, what would you do for the strategy?
I think it just depends who my female would be. Like if I had a face Stenning, someone like that, I would put her first because she'd be able to put in some speed at the beginning. But
she could run with most of the guys.
Yeah. And then it obviously depends if she's good at carries. That's a tough one. I think you'd have to look at your team. Like I know. Jack,
yeah, I mean, if I had an Emma Chapman, I would want her on that second leg. I think. Yeah, with that big carries. Climb, with some carries. And here you go. Look at all your men's champions. Top 5 men's teams. Maybe they're getting all the men's teams in here.
What a great picture.
Put it on the calendar with Sunto.
Yeah.
Also going on right now, we're just wrapping up the Berlin Marathon, which I was actually supposed to be running in today. That just finished, and I think you may have seen another world record.
You do. I think 2 hours and 1 minute is what Kipchoge ran.
Yeah, I believe Eliud Kipchoge does it again. So 2:01:09, which, you know, not to change subjects, guys, but I think we all need to take a moment and acknowledge that this is superhuman. And the guy came through the halfway point in under an hour, so had a shot at that sub 2 and didn't quite hold it, but it might happen.
He's definitely the GOAT for marathons.
This net being so loose as it is, it makes climbing up it actually pretty difficult, like fatiguing.
Yes. And going down, because if you don't get your foot just right when you're rolling, you get stuck in it.
That's Puerto Rico right there. We love the team Puerto Rico. And really close behind him.
That some people will roll straight forward and then some people will roll sideways.
Yes. Yeah, what's your go-to technique there?
I like to roll sideways. I like to be able to grab with my hand and then just roll.
Straightforward is a vertical cargo net move for me. The sideways, I reserve for the A-frame.
Definitely. Same. I also don't have the mobility to do the forward on the loose cargo net.
And I apologize. Got some dogs in the house trying to quiet them down. Come again, Jason? So for those just joining us, the men's relay has just ended. We are waiting on the co-ed relay teams to descend off the first climb of the opening leg of this race. So very shortly, you'll get eyes on your leaders. You'll get an opportunity to see just how this race is shaking out.
So now that we've
I just
seen
received a
the
nice
course,
message from Mike at Riverbend CBD saying he loves the Riverbend broadcast team right now. So
I love Mike. I love Riverbend. What's your favorite product of theirs?
I'm a muscle rub guy.
My
I love the muscle rubs.
phone is percent right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I was to choose the best products, I would say definitely the muscle rubs are awesome, and we used to use the tinctures for one of my dogs all the time. He had trouble sleeping, so they have a natural one. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a muscle rub person too. I go through that stuff so fast.
After a tough race like this, where you're kind of like not just like worn down physically, but really beat up, it's nice to. I use a like a muscle scraper with some. It's really really nice, especially on like the calves, quads.
Forearms.
This is fun. This is exciting.
Sure.
Yes,
Right?
forearms on a course like this, forearms for sure.
Second and third was one ring. Yeah. Right behind him, you know. It's like,
All right, so we're down here at the finish area. Also, it looks like we're looking at some sections of the third segment of the course.
when you were
And I wouldn't call it technical difficulties, but we just don't have eyes on the race right now. We had really good eyes on, I think, a big chunk of that men's race, but to get your cameraman back up on that mountain, it's a little tricky. We're trying to locate him right now, but your co-ed race now, and followed by your women's race last.
Looks like we got a rig up on the top.
Oh, here we go.
At Gibbons, we're back at Gibbons.
What's tough is you have to get into this so evenly, and then you have to get your little handles back, which is also tricky.
And that bell actually is quite far out there from the last gibbon, so you definitely have to reach or swing for it.
One of the things that's tough about broadcasting on these mountain courses is that your reception comes and goes out on the mountains. You might have strong signal on one side, and then you hit the other. As we can see the preview screen, Jason. Oh, here we go.
Oh, we got Chris Rogowski coming down.
Yeah. And so look, right now we have great signal. We might get to the back half of the mountain, and all of a sudden nothing works. And this is just the struggle with mountainous courses. Chris being very deliberate right now. She's raced a lot, not just this weekend, but this year. She's basically raced everything that exists.
She has the best recovery that I've ever seen on anybody. Her and Ryan Atkins. Oh, there's Lindsay Webster.
It's superhuman. I mean, have you ever seen her soar? We saw her soar when she raced the High Rocks World Championships, and she still took third the next day at Big Bear, which is an insane course to do when you're already wrecked.
That was really smooth of Lindsay to use her arms to come down.
Yeah, a little chicken wing. Is this Ida?
Sorry.
It is.
So you have your top three from the 3K all pretty close together here in what I believe is the first obstacle of the second leg.
So if this is the co-ed race, they definitely put a lot of the women on that second leg.
Oh, yeah, because this is Stairway 3.0. So this is the second obstacle, actually, of this section. They put a lot of women on the second leg. And it depends who your women are, of course. But, you know, if you have a Lindsay Webster, her ability to climb is so critical here. And I think you do probably want one of your stronger men on that heavy carry at the end. You saw the damage that like a Ryland Shadeg was able to do on that obstacle, like his ability to move with weight. And so I think that makes sense. But this is a nasty climb where if you have one of those women who can really go uphill quickly, it's a great place for you to steal some time or at least not sacrifice any.
Yeah.
Because I'd say Lindsay Webster can run uphill pretty much as fast as any of the men in this race.
There's Annie Doobie.
Yeah, Annie Doobie's another one who can also ascend really steep stuff as fast as basically any of the men. And so you're not losing any time on that leg, but I think on that flat ground or that flatter section, there is the chance that some of these guys could have stretched away a little bit. So I think this is the right strategy, and most teams seem to be going with it.
I hate hearing myself on my own.
I know in years past they've
exactly.
let people do co-ed and then also do like a women's and team race. So that's another strategy. People are like, oh, well, you'd have to do this one to be able to make it back. But I don't know if they're allowing it this year.
You know, I hadn't even thought about that.
Good job.
But that makes a lot of sense. And of course, because it is such a short leg, you really can regroup and do it all over again.
Or get a different
In which
leg.
case, do you run the same leg twice?
I've seen people do different ones. Like the one time they did the speed and then they came back and did the obstacle one for the other. But
Nice, Annie.
you know, I've never
Annie
seen
Doobie.
Annie on other than Spartan, but it's been really interesting this year or this weekend to watch her be so good on these obstacles that she hasn't seen.
And she's handled them very well all things considered.
Yes. Super
Nice,
smooth.
Amy.
Good work.
You can
That's
tell
Amy.
when she's put in the time. Like I would say last year, Annie was mostly riding on the fact that she was able to climb so well. And then this year, what you see is she's added those other elements to her game. Like she was injured, so her running wasn't quite where I think she wanted it to be at the start of the season, but she had spent a lot of time focusing on her weaknesses, becoming much more proficient at obstacles, smoother through them, more efficient through them, and it's paying off right now.
Yeah, she's definitely bulletproofing her armor.
Yep. Just update for those of you just joining us. This is the co-ed race of the OCR World Championships in Stratton, Vermont, brought to you by the OCR Report. Followed shortly, we will have the women's race as well. So an opportunity to really see it all today. I'm David Makita. Again, Alex Walker with me, and just got a Ryan Atkins sighting right there. Looks like he's trying to get down to maybe his section. Do you think he's running on Lindsay Webster's team? I would assume he is.
And they put him right where he needs to be with those heavy carries and obstacles.
Yep, he's just staying warm, it looks like. Leave it to Ryan Atkins to want to do a little extra work, even though he's got 2 races. Oh, unfortunate to struggle with a little bit of signal here at this obstacle. We have a great opportunity to see what's going on in this race, but you're looking at essentially the transfer point to the final obstacles. Is that VJ again?
No. I saw him standing at the bottom with his hat.
This doesn't seem like a very VJ move unless he's just playing. And this, of course, is Lagaff. You have to stand on these little like hockey pucks, transfer your weight, shift it to transfer to the next pole.
This obstacle is interesting because for men, the pucks are so small for their feet. And then for women, it's hard for your weight to move things over. So it's interesting.
Sure does look like VJ, though, doesn't it?
It does. I think it's the backwards hat.
Yeah.
Here comes Lindsay.
Yes, girl.
It's
Go
Tyler
get it.
Bierman.
Nice job.
Look, Kelly Sullivan
Go.
making her way into the climb. And Kelly Sullivan's one of those athletes who has dominated East Coast racing for years. You find her at a lot of the events.
Do you want me to go over there?
Stadium races, some of the small venue East Coast races that maybe haven't gotten the attention that some of the National Series races have, as we see Lindsay Webster. Kelly Sullivan actually has like the 3rd most podiums all time, something insane.
She's also one of those athletes that can do short courses and ultra marathons and do really well at them all.
And this is interesting. You have Lindsay Webster catching up on Lagaff. Actually in the lead at Lagaff. with Roglowski right behind her now. So we're about to have a fun little battle.
You're right about that climb.
That climb made a big difference. And I will say, I'm expecting to see a men's race that would have, it looks like Veerman, Shadegg, and Atkins are going to be your three big men at the finish. My guess is Roglowski has Shadegg on her team because he was just in a support role for her in her 100-miler. So I presume that they are going to be teammates. But she is friends with Tyler Veerman as well. He may have actually been their opening leg.
So you'll do canyon.
Now that I look at
Do
it.
the carry.
Because
Well, he's waiting
they've
in the
done some
transition
14ers
area.
together.
Little hill. And
Yes, this is the transition area, but I think Veerman may have run first.
Well,
So
then
you
again,
could have
Annie
this
might
really
have
fun
one of them on her
showdown.
team.
Oh, yeah. I expect a really fun showdown between Shadegg and Atkins to finish things in. That'll be exciting. There's VJ Jones.
stay together. Basically, middle push, glute to the end. You guys just have to stay. So you go across the finish line together. You have to wait for the should be on line. Well, you don't have to wait until the
And you knew Veerman was going to show
looks
up at
fun.
some point.
stay together. But
That downhill looks really fun.
get to the obstacle.
Lindsay's in the lead.
And we get that camera eyes back up that mountain, we may actually see her coming down because it sounds like they see her.
You know, it's neat. Lindsay's really good at descending, but this past year, Chris has turned into a really good descender also.
She has. And we had some concerns that she had a little ankle problem earlier this year, but she has left, she has pushed those concerns aside. I just don't know how she continues to crank out this many events. 4 100-milers, completing the Grand Slam this year.
Looks like you got
Oh,
two
they're
people.
deadlocked. They are
Yeah.
deadlocked right now. This is going to be an amazing finish. So Lindsay did her job, which was to close the gap, and they'll essentially be deadlocked. As you now are going to have an Atkins versus Shadegg finisher. Oh, this is going to be exciting for everybody. If we can get eyes on that transition area, I'd love to see who got left behind. I assume Veerman.
Oh, no, it's not Ryan. It looks like Veerman and
It might be Veerman.
Ryland.
So Veerman is going to battle Ryland Shadegg. Now we have, that's an interesting battle because those are the guys who actually crossed the line 1 and 2 yesterday in the 15. No, Veerman's still on the side. So who took off for Lindsay Webster's team? Now I just have more questions.
So Tyler must have been their first leg, then Chris, and
Yeah.
then Ryland.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe Atkins ran the first leg for his team, but I don't know who is their third. It isn't VJ. Guess we're going to play the little wait and see game right now. But Tyler Veerman and Chris Roglowski are friends. I've seen the two of them have done some 14ers together, as you see Ida here, your 3K champion, making light work of that obstacle. And just about 2 weeks ago is I think all it was, back to Chris Roglowski's 100-miler that she just finished to get her Grand Slam. And Ryland Shadegg paced her for considerable portions of that race. Official pacer. So not surprising to see the three of them all on one team.
Yeah. And it looks like Ida just handed off to Leon. So they're on one team.
That's a fun team. To Kelly Sullivan again.
I think this was someone else.
No, it is someone else, yeah.
Because Annie Doobie was behind this athlete, which I wish I knew her name. She's real good at obstacles.
Yeah, very good.
And then Kelly was behind Annie a little further back. Oh, she must be German. She just handed off to one of the guys that was on the German team, men's team. Do you think the co-ed team's going to come down to the ricochet?
It could. I think it depends on who is pushing against Rylan, because if you give Rylan a lead, it's going to be a tough person to overcome.
True, but he did just run the men's race.
Yes.
So can he have
if he's
that
battling
back-to-back
if
trip?
he's battling VJ or Atkins, I think it's really interesting because that looks like VJ right there. That's too much of a gap.
Yeah.
That's not going to be obviously a contending team. However, I'm trying to think about what other men in this race could be a factor in this. If it was a Kempson could give him a run for his money. That's the only guy I have not seen yet.
Split up and get it. Get a height. Come on, Danny. Got it. There it is. Come on, big swing. Yeah.
And this is just eyes on some men from the men's race. Not your elite men, but guys going through and just knocking out their last tough obstacle in ricochet right before the finish.
Nice job. Yeah. One big swing. One big swing. Yeah. There you go. Get it. Nice job, guys. Thank you.
So I think we're about to get eyes on if our sources are right, we might be seeing the leading men coming up to the top of the mountain right now, which, again, it's going to be a battle between the team led by Rylan Shadeg, and we don't know who the lead male is going to be on the other squad. We're just losing visual right here. That looks like Leon, but I can't tell because it's so grainy.
Okay, so here's Sketch. That's Rylan.
That's Shadeg. That's Sketch. In the lead.
Okay, so who?
And who's chasing? Oh, come on. I'd love to see. I think it's Samuel Hebert. Someone from the Canadian team. This would be the run of his life if he was able to somehow pull back Shadeg. Shadeg's a man who you don't really see him fatigue. In the races that he's lost, it hasn't necessarily been because of fatigue or fitness. There have been other factors, excessive heat, smoke inhalation in the weeks leading up to it, things like that. When he is on, he is really on. But Hebert's a strong racer. Certainly he has an experience advantage in the obstacles, and maybe that can help him close the gap. But in those runs between each of these obstacles, it's going to be very difficult for him to keep up with Shadeg.
You think that's like a 40-second or over a minute gap between them right now?
I think it's less. I think it's actually inside 30, but it's still, it's going to be a tough gap to close. I mean, there's only so much real estate that we're looking at right now, and on top of that, it's, you know, you're talking about one of the best racers out there.
But with all those obstacles that you have to do together at the end, we saw with that German men's team, like, I think 30 seconds could change right there.
That is the game changer, right? Because if you have an athlete who has raced 4 races this weekend or 3 races this weekend, they may just be blown when it comes to that last couple obstacles. Who knows if their grip is still there?
Or a mistake is made.
I mean, I'm not saying
There's
I'm rooting
Leon.
for a mistake, but there's Leon. Co-fed.
Not that I'm rooting for a mistake, but
I'm intrigued by it, though.
Yeah. I got burrs on my foot. Rucker would have been sad. I had burrs on my foot.
He's moving on that downhill. Oh.
I mean, Shadeg's getting through these things, but let's do a time count here. All right, we're looking at about 20 seconds now between them. So Hebert is gaining, which is crazy because he did that including that heavy carry. But what's left? Is there enough time for this Canadian team to catch this American team?
I like that there's a chance of a battle for the first 2 teams.
Oh, great battle. Do we think that Ryan Atkins ran that opening leg for the Canadian team? We didn't see any of the opening leg.
I think he did. But I guess we're going to find right now.
I don't know how
when
else
all
they
come
would have been
through.
in it. I don't know how else they would have been in the mix. But even with an Atkins opening leg, if you're going up against a Tyler Veerman, that would explain why Chris Rogloski was actually leading Lindsay Webster in the beginning of that leg. And Webster did a lot of work to pull her back, but Rogloski fought hard to get back to that lead position. And now look at this cluster. This is the competition for third.
Oh, there's VJ.
Oh, Tough to be chasing VJ or being chased by VJ Jones.
And all three of them on the carry now. Oh, there's Leon coming down. So Leon's in third, his team's in third, and then the other guys are
This is a
chasing
competition
third.
for fourth right now.
He's on Team
Ooh.
Denmark, Innovate, and Garmin.
And that's our man Leon Kovoy there on drop. Now he was there a good 45 minutes ago because his team wasn't as
A little snafu from Leon for a sec. He pulled it together. Yeah, Leon's got a sizable lead here for third place. That's going to be a difficult task to pull him back. And there are your leaders. Veerman, Rugloski, Shadeg. At Urban Sky. It's starting to look like this one's a wrap as they head up into Ricochet.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody behind them coming into that obstacle. Oh, they are.
Oh, here you go. But the gap looks just too significant.
So there's Ryan Atkins. He
Yep.
must have opened for them. You were right.
He did the opening leg. Atkins to Webster to Hebert.
Nice work. Good job, USA.
And there you have it as the Canadians enter this obstacle. The Americans have already exited it. And your co-ed team champions, Rylan Shadeg, Chris Rugloski, and Tyler Veerman. Rugloski getting 3 podium finishes, a first, a second, and a third on the weekend.
USA.
Amazing performance. And that would have
All
been
three
the
of
favorite team
them.
heading in anyways. I think it was clear that team both wanted it, had the talent, and it's a big ask on Atkins to finish the last leg of the previous heat and then go right into the first leg of the next heat. I think that was probably his plan, stay warm that way, but there you go, Canada. Team Canada, Ryan Atkins, Lindsey Webster, and Samuel Hebert. Second place today in the co-ed team race at the OCR World Championships.
What a run. Good job, guys. I'm with OCR. I'm OCR report.
You have to stay back.
No, I got you. I know.
But you're not, and if you don't, I will take your hat away.
There's Team Denmark.
And now you're looking at, this is Denmark because the Leon is definitely there in the back. Ida, that's a loaded team too.
All very obstacle proficient and really fast.
And that first and second place was 20 seconds apart, but this third, I mean, this is a sizable gap back to the third team.
I wonder how many of these ladies are going to do the ladies team also.
I assume Chris, because she does everything. I assume Lindsay, because she's not tired. And then, yeah, I mean, could Ida skip it? I don't think so. I think Ida will be back out there as well. But maybe you
And
give
possibly
her,
Annie.
each of them, you wait till at least the second leg for them. So your third place finishers right now, the Danish team. Team Denmark, Innovate, Garmin. Got to get those sponsor plugs in there, like our Riverbend CBD.
I see a lot of VJ shoes out there too, but they are a sponsor of OCR World Championship this year.
The Garmin, the Innovate guys, they probably don't want you to say that. So we got our top 3 co-ed teams now in. And while athletes will continue to trickle in over the course of the rest of this race, your OCR World Championships women's relay is the last one to go, the women's team race. I think we'll see some familiar faces lining back up, and that race will start shortly. I'll tell you, if you ran 2 legs of those relays already today, you are pretty tired.
But now they get to watch and enjoy the women's race for the men at least.
Mm-hmm. And that is a nice thing, to be able to take that opportunity to be done and just watch. If you're, one of those women, you had to stand there, observe, then race, then line up for, would you say co-ed or gendered would be your preferred category?
I like the co-ed. I'd want to do both of them. I'd figure a way to be able to be on both teams, but I think the co-ed gets fun.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there's something exciting about that. Also, the strategy that goes into who races what leg, and that makes it exciting as well. Because there are so few opportunities to run with the men and the women all together, and that's how when we started racing in this sport, that's how the waves always were. The men and women always raced together, and so there's been this great camaraderie through the years, and then to get that opportunity to actually put it all together, race together, compete together, it's really exciting. So I'm with you. I think the co-ed ones are some of my favorite. As you see,
now that we've watched
3K champ BJ Jones.
Which one would you have chosen to do if you were there today?
Which leg would I have chosen to do? Probably the first leg. I think the first leg would have suited me best. Less steep on the climbing, hammer the run, a lot of easy obstacles. I'll leave the tough obstacles to folks like you. I'm all about those over walls. That's a good obstacle for me. Slant wall, crawl, over wall, Tyrolean. And then, I think there's nothing on that opening leg that would have given me issues, and I'm definitely a little bit more of a speed racer. Technical section, probably not my jam. Strength section, good, but again, a lot of obstacles backloaded in that one. So I probably would have wanted to save my grip so I could have been strong on the team obstacles right at the end. So if we had a team, would you take the technical or the strength, Alex?
If we had another guy, I would definitely want to take the second leg and then leave the third to our strong guy, someone who can carry, like a Jack Bauer.
A Jack Bauer. Yeah, a third member of our broadcast team, Jack Bauer, would be great. Now, we did have VJ Jones here in the OCR report last night. So maybe we would take VJ for our strength section. Although he wants to do the speed.
He might be good at that front. I want that long downhill after that climb. That looked fun.
That did look fun.
Oh, there's Jack. He just
And there's
raced
Jack
with
Bauer
Annie.
himself. Yeah. With Annie Doobie. There's
So
Jarrett
do
Doobie
they
as
have
well.
Benny Gifford? This is the fun part. Everybody gets to talk about where they had oops issues and where they did well.
Exactly. A little decompress at the end of it. And so shortly the women's race will be starting here from the OCR World Championships. And we'll walk you through that as soon as it begins. Looks like Team France just crossed the finish line as well. So the French team now in the co-ed team race.
Yeah, it was a great day.
3 and 4.
Mm-hmm. Good luck, man. Yeah.
And the women have not lined up yet, so we are still waiting on them to get started. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Take a moment. Catch your breath here. And then the women's race here with the OCR report from OCR World Championships will be going off in just moments.
I'm interested to see what teams get put together right now for the ladies.
I'm going to go to start.
So we're getting an update. The women are going to be starting now, it looks like, at 11:30. Maybe they mean 10:30. We're going to get an update on that, and we will get an answer to you shortly. All right, well, that is a confirmation. 11:30 start of the women's team race. I'm not sure what the delay is right there, but...
How are you, man? Having fun?
Got humbled by the elite men right off the roof. I was like, well, that's not my dude's going to go.
Can't catch them.
Yeah.
It's 11 for the ladies? Well, we'll catch them too. I'm up here. So.
All right, so we have our producer, Jason, is actually going to get out there, and he's going to find out what the delay is, if there's a delay at all. In the meantime, enjoy the sights and sounds of the OCR World Championships from Stratton. Hi, everybody.
I wonder if they plan on doing OCR World Championship here this next year, because they usually like to move every few years.
Sorry, Alex, I'm having a little trouble hearing you over the background noise. And as you can see, they are still moving teams out to the start line, but it looks like they have more rounds of co-ed teams, and that may be the source of the delay. And so we will do our best to maintain coverage so that we can get you that women's race. Right now, we're seeking out an answer, seeing if we can get that start pushed up. Get those women out there on the course. And although you can't see on my screen, we are looking at a preview screen here of the men's, another group of co-ed or men's racers. It is national anthem time here. There we go. Okay. I don't know if you guys were getting all that audio that we were getting. Alex, thoughts so far on the day?
This has been fun to watch, and it's definitely, I like that they have them doing obstacles at the end together. It definitely is changing up some of the finishes. But I am curious to see if they'll do it here next year in Vermont, or if they're going to be moving it to a different location, because he tends to move it every few years.
Yeah, and as we'd like, it's nothing like seeing the same championship venue 5 years in a row to get you really disinterested. But I think one of the things when we look at this, the women are on the course already. Okay. Yep. Apologies, everyone. What the women's race, the women elite are actually out on the course already. So there was a misunderstanding. I believe the rest of the women's field is starting at 11:30, and that was the confusion. So we missed the start of the women's race as well. But the good news is they are out on the course. We are making a move to try to catch them over at some of the obstacles. I believe they're trying to see them at Valkyrie, which is going to be at the transition point at the end of the second segment. Maybe we'll get to them before that. So you will get to catch the second half of the women's race. So stay with us right now as we get eyes on them. And Alex Walker and I will take you through that journey of the finish of the women's race. I'm very excited because I thought we were going to miss it, Alex.
I know. And you know how I feel. I want to see the ladies run.
Of course. And again, we just saw some of them race. You just saw Annie Doobie and Chris Roglowski, Lindsay Webster, Ida. And now we get one more battle. The question is, how are these teams assembled? Do you think they're again going to be USA, Canada, Denmark, or do you think they're just going to stack some of them?
So I thought about that, and I don't think there's enough like Canadian women to put together a team like that they would choose from. I think they're going to mix and match. I mean, when we saw the finish line, Chris and Lindsay were gone, so that means they were probably getting back out there to where they need to be. They
You
might be
don't
on a
think
team
Faye
together.
Stenning is trying to run for Team Canada?
Oh, that would be neat to see her back out there.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, sometimes you can go from just hanging out to popping a team race at a world championship event. I would know.
I would put her on my first leg for sure.
All right now.
Oh, she's super speedy.
I don't hear anything right now.
Well, as you can see, there is a transition happening. Our cameraman from camera 2, Andy, is making his way over to Valkyrie.
Yeah.
And with a little luck, we might get some of our other cameras back online in order to catch the women before they get there.
Woo.
Hoping that we can get a reset
get
from
there.
camera 3, which is Adrian. But in the meantime, a few technical difficulties, and we apologize about that. It is hard putting on a mobile live broadcast from the side of a giant mountain. So, doing the best we can. And given that we don't see an aggregation of a lot of people over at Valkyrie, it leads me to believe that we are not quite close to them hitting this obstacle.
We were told the wrong thing.
Okay, Alex, hypothetically, you are racing this team race, this women's team race. Who's your squad?
Ooh. I definitely Lindsay Webster. I'd pick her. Annie really showed up this weekend. I'd probably pick both of Annie and Lindsay.
I'm going to put you in a hard spot, and I'm going to say that you cannot choose those women because they're already on other teams.
Okay.
Okay.
Does Chris count too, or is she out?
I will see.
They should be coming down.
Give me two other
Valkyrie,
names.
Okay.
Your Valkyrie in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Because I'll tell you who I would put.
I probably would
Thank you.
get Kelly Sullivan. She can carry and she can move on a mountain pretty good. Maybe
All right,
Miranda.
so Adrian's a rabbit there.
She might be out there
get to
too.
that, and
We
then
haven't
I'll
seen her.
get from there.
And she took
I
6
think
yesterday.
we're overlooking someone. Rose Wetzel.
Who?
Okay.
Oh, is she going to be out here?
I don't know, but she could have been on your team with her and Faye.
You know, that would be a solid team.
It would be a really good
I would
team.
take Rose.
I actually would have a lot of fun watching that. Rose, especially when I look at her as like the race is only 3K. I could actually be in the mix on this. Like, she has that ability. So I think that would be really fun.
I would put
All right. So after there, they come this way.
So the women have yet to come
So they're
down
still on
to
the first
stairway
leg.
yet. So we have not
Pick 'em
even
up
seen
here,
the
then catch 'em.
first transition yet.
After, because they do this and then they go up. You can catch them here on this.
But I would put Stenning on my first leg. I think I would do the carries and I would let Rose do the obstacles.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Actually, no, you can actually.
Who would you
I
pick
like
for your
that as
team,
well.
David?
Once they leave this section and transition on.
My team, like this is basically like a. We know that like
Then I'll follow.
your typical top 3
Got it.
people are
Thank you.
not in play. And that's how we're playing this.
Yes. Okay.
Then I'm going with the my 3 women are going to be you, Rose, and Faye Stenning. I'm taking Faye because I know she's on site. I saw her. I saw an interview with her. I don't know why she's not running, but I think the 3 of you would be a formidable team.
Yeah, I saw her out there. I think she was doing some rabbiting for the women.
And we have to talk about if we were to make a a men's
Oh,
team.
there's Rose.
Well, yeah. What did I say?
You called it.
Rose Wetzel. Let's go. Valkyrie. Is that your leader? Wait.
She has the OCR gives back shirt on, and Lindsay and Chris did too, so they might be a team.
They might be, but who's there to take the transition? That looks like Chris, if I saw the posture.
And then Lindsay probably started it out.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. That looks like Chris for sure. Her stride. Definitely a Chris Rogloski stride. There we go. Yeah, so I think they said, well, Lindsay's probably the best at transitioning from having just finished a race to starting a new one. That's how I would have done it. Although I would have considered putting Rose on the opening leg too. Clearly it worked, whatever they just did. And that is a bit of an unfair team, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't know anybody else that could contend with them.
Not without, of course, the name that we left off. Our broadcast team would have been a really good team if we added Nicole Miracle to the mix. And as we try to get the last couple cameras here operational, I'd just like to point out that we have a dominant women's team up in the front. Lindsay Webster to Rose Wetzel to Chris Rogloski. And here we go. Second team
like
heading in.
Hannah Carta. I might say her last name wrong, but it's definitely Hannah. So that's a second place team going back up, and then there's a third place coming back down to the transition.
Oh, and they're looking like okay. It's a runnable climb, but it is still that's a power output climb. That's pretty tough. Second and third place, the divide is not that huge. But that is a long climb. I gotta say, that's a pretty long one.
So we got 1, 2, and 3.
Especially, yeah, you have a good battle with teams 2 and team 3. It's tough when you are starting the leg of a relay and your first mile is just straight up. Like nowhere to get kind of warm and loose and in rhythm. You just start going up.
But that is a lot of mountain races. So we still got co-ed teams finishing.
And that's Skitch right there, right? We're looking at Skitch, so... Skitch is probably the next place that we will see our leading athletes. And that means it's the next place that you're going to see Chris Rogloski, who is looking for 4 podium finishes in 4 races. She finished 3rd in the 3K, then 2nd in the 15K, and then closed it out with 1st place in the co-ed race, and she's looking for 1 more 1st place finish as well. What a year, huh?
Yeah, she's just racking them up this year.
I mean, you add that High Rocks title to the mix, and it is a season for the ages.
And we still have DECA coming up and then Spartan World Championship. So there's a mix
Are
in
you going to
there.
be running at DECA?
I don't know yet. It's like thinking about it. I am going to be at High Rocks, though, a couple of them.
Oh, good. We look forward to that. What do you think about the emerging sport of fitness racing, hybrid racing?
I like it. I think that it's neat. It's something to add for someone who doesn't want to go and get out on a mountain and, you know, they have
people are
strength.
coming.
So I think it's
Yeah.
good to have in the sport.
Looks alert.
Just a really good test of fitness without necessarily needing the technical skills at the same time.
Anybody can do it, and then it's just how hard you want to go into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
A perfect
You have the
example
ability
is
to
my
completely-
sister had never done a DECA, and we got her to do a DECA strong, and she doesn't work out, and she finished it.
Did she have fun? Did she enjoy it?
Probably not during, but after she was happy she did it.
Yeah, I think it all depends on how hard you go. My first one, I said that wasn't so bad. My second one, I said that was horrific. So it all depends on how your pacing strategy, how hard you go.
It's also mental. Like you have to choose how much you want to hurt and if you want to push through it, right?
Exactly.
Their team aspect's pretty neat too.
Oh, the team race is phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of their team race. And so
You know,
we
I've
are
never
just
done
waiting
this
here.
obstacle.
This obstacle?
But I'm sure transitioning off those walls has to be difficult with moving to different directions.
And trying not to spin yourself out.
Yeah.
Well, shortly we will see your men's or your women's leaders. So stay with us, everybody. You know, you're seeing some co-ed teams here working their way through Ricochet. And it, again, like if you're spinning yourself out on this obstacle, very, very difficult to kind of continue to maintain that position, to be able to get to the next rung.
And if you're really tired, I don't think you could stick your elbow in there. You know how some people, you do the chicken wing? I don't think you could on that one.
There's one.
Okay, first place is
We have an
coming down,
athlete
so
coming this
probably
way.
Chris.
Probably
She's-
Chris.
yeah,
that's a safe
that's Chris.
bet. Chris Rogloski descending really well this year.
Nice job, Chris. Nice job.
She just always looks so smooth.
And she's so smooth in and out of obstacles.
Nice job, Chris.
And here she is on sketch. Now the transition over the chain, that's the really tough part. That's why I was saying a second pole here would be really interesting, but she's making it look good.
Nice job, Chris.
Otherwise, I'll be doing Blue Mountain. Canada.
Here comes Chris.
And here's Chris coming in to the main festival area. Again, these rings, if you look at how low your feet are, how close to the ground, you got to really pull those feet up. Real sketchy there at the bottom. But Chris is through, and now you're looking at a heavy carry coming up. The fire carry.
I wonder if team 2 and 3 are together at this point now.
And we have
they
like a
weren't
nice
too far
battle
away.
between them. They were
Yeah.
very close when we last saw them. Second place right now.
Nice work,
Stretched
nice
out a
work.
little bit of a gap, it looks like. Both teams are in orange, by the way.
Well, I think, yeah, but the other one's wearing donut shorts, so I think we can point them out that way. Oh, third's right there behind her.
Yeah, so we're going to have a battle all the way into the finish.
So when they came into the last transition, this team was actually in third, and so they moved up to second.
Oh, so there was a flip-flop here.
Yeah. We were talking about that climb and just getting your legs going, and she was moving pretty good.
Very good through sketch.
Nice job.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a gap of maybe 30 seconds, but there seems to be a little tentative. I'd say it's a little tentative on that downhill. Your donut shorts. There you go. We just saw a go Renski. Is this Renski?
Nice work. Nice job.
Focus.
And there is a distinctive difference in the stride from these two racers and what we saw out of Chris Roglowski at this point. I think everyone's so battered and broken at the end of the weekend, and someone like Chris who just does not fatigue the way that normal people do seems to be running just like normal.
So Chris just finished the carry.
Very little hesitation out of Chris Rogowski. And she's like, I've done this enough times this weekend. I know exactly what I'm doing. Very, very smooth. Notice that very few people go to the top rung, that third rung on that obstacle.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be a waste of energy to get up there just to come back down.
Well, and also how they do it. Like, Chris was able to do that with relatively straight arms. When Lindsay Webster went through that obstacle yesterday, or excuse me, 2 days ago, she was basically doing a pull-up on each rung. So it was very slow, but it was also draining. I think we're seeing an obstacle failure here. And she's going to have to try again. And that is the problem with the design of this obstacle. You have to pull your feet so high. You can't hang from this one. You really need to be knees up, almost in a bent arm position. Here we go. This one used to be known as Dragon Back, didn't it?
Yes.
That's right.
I remember the first year they had it in Ohio when they had OCR World Championship there.
So this is now drop zone?
Oh, and they have to do it all together. We haven't seen that.
Oh, so this is, excuse me.
One of the team.
What's happening?
I'm not sure. Maybe Lindsay went over the pole and they told her she needs to go under it.
I'm not really sure what we're seeing right now. We're waiting on the team. Rose Wetzel, Lindsay Webster. I think they're coming now. On our preview screen, we can also see there are some struggles with the team that was sitting in second or third place, not getting through the rings there. If
yeah,
we
that's
get our
nerve-wracking
camera
because you
operator,
have your team right there, and you're trying to finish for them.
oh, it's so tough. If we could get our camera operator to show the rest of the racers on this team, because Chris Rogowski is waiting for someone to complete something.
Nice work, nice work.
I think we're looking at Andy. If we can get Andy to transfer the camera to look at the rest of the racers on this team.
Yeah! Way to go, way to go! Nice work.
I think someone didn't want to jump.
Someone didn't want to jump. We missed that, but now we're back. Cameras, please stay on the racers. And we may have an injury. Maybe that's the issue. That's not Lindsay Webster.
No, she's from the Dream Team.
And that was it. That was my source of my confusion, was I couldn't tell why Lindsay Webster wouldn't be jumping.
Yeah. You know, that is a scary obstacle. If you get up there and you're not moving and you stand and look down, you definitely question everything.
And you have these small footholds here. You have to really leverage your hips in close.
And if you're really tired, your calves will cramp on this one.
Oh, just like the Z wall.
Mm-hmm.
But there's good grip to grab here. Oh, you can see her transition is going to be tough. She can't quite reach She's going to have to extend her right arm. There you go. And ring that bell. All right, so they are through. A little bit hairy for a second there. If they were caught in a tight battle, you could have seen that be a really big problem over the triumph obstacle.
It's a good thing they had a big lead that they could
Huge
have
lead
these.
going into it. And they're all very strong runners, so that certainly does help. Hard to reel in a team moving this quick. As
Yeah.
we're going to head into Urban Sky in a moment. And as we close in on the end of this downtown area, this is Urban Sky. We are 3 obstacles from the finish of this women's team race. There's 2 big tests left here, and as we've seen, this team, great in the running, not bulletproof yet on some of these grip-based obstacles. But this is promising. So close. Oh, we needed that. So the OCR Dream Team has now gotten 2 of their athletes through. Should be no trouble for Chris Rogloski. Now, Ricochet is the dicey one. Here we go. Rose Wetzel taking it first on Ricochet. And again, you have to work the rings, make it to the far wall. And you see that spin out that she has there. She's got to reset, regroup, kick off that wall.
She might want to grab the ring
She might need to go to
behind
2
her.
hands for a moment.
Nice.
Oh, there she
Rose
goes.
is corrected. Really tough because if your teammate's behind you, they're waiting on you to get so that they can keep moving, and grip is burning. This is going to be a tough transition. Chris might just be hanging out for a while.
I don't think she'll have an issue with that.
Wow. That was an interesting transition.
Oh, come on.
Got to get those legs swinging if you're going to get that power up.
There you go.
Chicken winging.
Nice work.
Ooh.
Nice work.
Wow. Chris is so smooth. And there you have it. This is going to be your championship team, the OCR Dream Team, led by Rose Wetzel and Chris Rogloski. Alex, do you know the name of the woman with them?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be Hannah, but I could be wrong. It's hard when they're all wearing the same shirts. Sometimes
Yes.
you can tell by people's gear.
And here you have it. Your 2022 Women's Team Champions at OCR World Championships, the OCR Dream Team. It wasn't easy, but they made it look like you looked pretty easy. That big gap at the finish.
Yeah, Hannah Holmes, I think is her name. She's on Nicole's Dream Team.
She's fast. She can run.
Yeah. I think she's out of Colorado. She's a really good runner. What a great team.
Loaded.
And here was a team that started out in third and ended up second.
That's right. It's just a club.
Second place. It ended up being pretty close. They, the OCR Dream Team, they had their struggles. They allowed these guys to catch up. But second place is officially across the line. And we'll head back to see if we were able to get that third team through. You can tell who ran the last leg. In the middle there, so exhausted. Can't even hold herself up. And that's Team Netherlands. She can't even stand.
And remember, it's just a small land and just a club with the name hang on. Boy.
This is what the sport is all about. A little bit of camaraderie. And there's finally to the ground. I can finally rest.
We're not used to this.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to throw some leaderboards up on the board for the men's race, for the co-ed race. Take you guys through that again. A little recap again. Men's team relay. Team Danish Sandwich. Finishing in the 37:44. I believe that was Leon Kofed, VJ Jones, and Rylan Chadeg. Team Hang On the Netherlands Mixed Pro. And then Team KTK. I think they botched that one. A really good battle between the second and third place racing teams there. And Jason, you want to toss to the mixed relays? Co-ed relays? Look at those results. Team USA led by, again, Chris Rogloski getting the double here. That was Rylan Shadeg and Tyler Veerman rounding out that team, winning by 38 seconds over Team Maple Syrup Sweat, which was Ryan Atkins, Lindsey Webster, and Samuel A. Bear. And then Team Denmark, Innovate Garmin, with Ida and Leon Kofed rounding out the top three positions there as well. Now, if we go back to the women's race, we have your winning team, Hannah Holmes, Rose Wetzel, and Chris Rogloski taking home the W in the women's race, followed, of course, by Team Netherlands, and we are still waiting on our third place team finisher. Things actually got a little dicey there, though, didn't they? Now, we don't know if we're going to actually get eyes on those third place finishing teams here in the women's field. But a great day of racing nonetheless. Alex, I want to thank you first and foremost for joining today. Fun. I've raced with you as teammates. Now I've broadcasted with you as well, so that's always pretty fun.
Yeah, it's been fun.
We get
Happy
the good
to be
double.
a part of it.
Yeah, happy to have you here. Wish we were out there racing, though. Would love to have seen you out there in that course.
I'll be back out there soon enough.
And we want to thank you for this presentation of the OCR report, for joining us for this. There is one more event coming up later today at, Jason, 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock, the 100-meter sprint. This is weather dependent, of course. As long as the rain doesn't wash this thing out, we're looking at a 100-meter championship, which in many ways might be the most exciting event of the entire weekend because it is fast and furious and just crazy. And those Ninja Warrior fans out there, that's what you're going to be getting. I do not believe we're going to get to see the third place female team finishing in. But thank you all I don't know, Jason, if that's the third place team.
Nice job, ladies. You got it.
Yeah.
We're going to see if we can get eyes on here. Who do we got?
Nice work, guys. Nice work.
No, that's what's fun about team racing is you never know what's going to happen. Like these young ladies might have finished 5th or 6th, but then with the teams that are not getting through obstacles, they're able to get on the podium and take 3rd. That's awesome.
There was another team ahead of them for a while, and then the rings became a big problem for them. Is this the team Power Danes, I believe?
Trying to see what their jerseys say. Flatline maybe?
Nice job.
There's OCR Will. He's doing some filming.
Nice work, guys. Nice work.
So this is what we believe is your third place team coming into the final couple obstacles. Which, and I may be mistaken, I believe is the Team Power Danes. But they have just 3 obstacles to go to the finish because we are now approaching Urban Sky. And it's a heartbreak what we saw because we had 3 teams ahead of them on this final segment, but then it looked like the grip just went. The ability to just continue to complete grip-based obstacles at the end of this long weekend, it took its toll.
Yeah, sometimes when those legs are tired, it's hard to keep them up underneath those rings. And if you're tall, I think that's a tough obstacle for tall people.
Come on, B. You're good. Go, B. Yeah, go ahead. Stay in the same lane. Just follow her. Get to the right. You go.
Yeah, certainly that extra height can be a disadvantage on some of the obstacles, but length on something like this can also be an advantage. You know, not struggling to make that next reach, to find that next grip.
I think that's what makes obstacle course racing neat is you have strengths and weaknesses in every part, whether you're tall or short.
All right. Now one failable obstacle from the end, and that's Ricochet. And you're looking at what might be your third place team.
Oh, yeah. Although I did notice, because they're hanging, like any side-to-side swinging is not good for these.
Nice. There you go.
I like that move. Instead of kicking off the wall, leveraging the hips up and just extending the legs to find that next. It's a smooth, steady, safe way to find that next ring.
Yeah, it was super smart. I've seen a couple people, they get real high up on it.
Yep.
You got
So
it.
instead of ricocheting off,
There you go. Nice. Nice job. You got it. You got it. There you go.
that was very smooth.
Finish strong, ladies. You got it. Nice.
And there you have it. That's going to be your third place team unless we miss somebody. Taking it up the final obstacle of their weekend. Unless they're doing the 100. The cargo climb.
Nice job, nice job.
And your finisher is third place in the women's team race. Coming across the line right now. And that is a wrap. We want to thank you for joining us for this special presentation of the Obstacle Course Racing World Championship Team Events, Men's, Women's, and Co-Ed Championships. This has been a special presentation of the OCR Report. So for Alex Walker, our producer Jason Dupree, the rest of our broadcast team, I'm David Magida. We'll see you at 3 p.m. today. Join us a little bit earlier for the 100-meter Sprint Course Championships. We'll see you then.